Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Financial advisor Scott Beasley knows time spent with family is everything. As a founder of Beasley Wealth Management, his mission is to give clients the freedom to enjoy time with family without the burden of financial concerns. A local of Lawrenceburg, Scott deeply values building relationships with clients, ensuring they make informed decisions concerning asset management, tax planning, and retirement planning. Offering a free initial consultation, Beasley Wealth Management helps clients pursue their aspirations with confidence.
Banking made simple and convenient. At Builtwell Bank, we're here for you. Whether you're making a milestone purchase or saving for retirement, our dedicated financial team will walk with you every step of the way because we care. From personal banking accounts to making sure your business and commercial needs are met, we'll make sure you have a dedicated Builtwell banker that understands your unique needs and goals. Serving Lawrenceburg and Summertown. Come see us today. Member FDIC.
At C&B Linen, fast, friendly, and reliable service is our promise to you. Because you're not just a customer, you're family. From multi-use linen to branded floor coverings and a complete range of cleaning supplies, C&B Linen is here to make sure you have everything you need. From our high-quality products to our fast, friendly, and reliable service, you'll experience the difference with C&B Linen. Because you're not just a client, you're part of our family. You'll be winning with C&B Linen.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome everybody in here to the X Sports Network for this edition of the Mark My Words College Sports Show here on the X Sports Network. I'm your host, Michael Marks, and this week's episode is being pre-recorded. I'm going to be out of town when you're seeing this, so I decided I'd get this out of the way here before then. Obviously, got a lot going on in the world of sports. We've got, on this episode, we're going to talk a little local sports. We had some, as you can see over both my shoulders, we had some American Legion baseball action on the X Sports Network last night. We've got a Major League update from both Ryan Weathers and Blade Tidwell. I would say getting caught back up on that. And then we've got a little bit more college football. As always, ESPN dropped their college football top 25 along with their toughest schedules. And then I decided, since it's July, let's go ahead and talk about some awards that are going to be handed out in December. We're going over some of the big offensive awards, I guess you could say. Heisman, not an offensive-only award, but I have it on here. The Davey O'Brien Award, which is the quarterback of the year, Doak Walker for the running back of the year, Fred Biletnikoff for the wide receiver of the year, and then some offensive skill position All-Americans. So we'll jump right into it with our games from last night. We had two 5-inning games between the Lawrence County Jaybirds and the Loretto Legends. Game one was very exciting. We got to see both of the high school teams' projected aces, I guess you could say, for this upcoming season. With Logan Mays, he goes 3 strong shutout innings, as does Shawmell Tucker for the Legends. And then the bats started getting going in the fourth. The Legends were able actually to get on the board first. In game number one, the Jaybirds came back and were eventually able to walk it off in the home half of the 5th inning. In game number two, the offense was going early. Landon Gable had a 2-run double that got the Legends on the board. 2 of their 3 runs that they put up in that first inning, and were able to hold on until the end with a 4-2 victory over the Jaybirds. So both Loretto and Lawrence County pick up a win last night in a split, and I believe we have the state tournament coming up next week. So we'll jump straight into our Major League updates. It's been a while since we've checked on these guys, and before yesterday when I was getting updated stats on them, I realized I hadn't broken down a game from either of these guys since the month of May. So they had a whole month of June, both Ryan and Blade, and had some good starts, had some not good starts, definitely some decisions that didn't go their way. But looking as of right now, Ryan Weathers for the Yankees 92 and a third innings pitched, 88 hits, 50 runs, only 44 of them earned, 104 strikeouts to 27 walks. He has a 3-7 record on decisions, but 7-10 are the Yankees when he pitches. ERA did take a bit of a tick up to 4.29, still has a 1.2 whip. 10.5 Ks per nine, 2.5 walks per nine, about a 4-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. And his next projected start is actually the day we're recording this, Friday, July 10th against the Nationals. I believe at 5:45 Central Time is the first pitch for that. So, and listen, the Nationals, you go and look at Major League standings and you may say, well, they're probably not that good of a team. I mean, you go look at the standings, they're fourth in their division, and the only team below them is the Mets. But they're 2 games over 500. They have a positive run differential, and looking at things, offensively speaking, they've scored the most runs in their division. They've actually scored the most runs in the National League, and actually, they've scored the most runs in all of baseball. But the problem is, they've also allowed not the most runs in baseball. That would be Colorado. But outside of the Rockies, they're third in most runs given up. Only other team ahead of them is the Athletics, who, again, aren't known for their pitching staff. And as you've seen where they've been playing at those games in Vegas, I mean, just good luck to any pitcher going over there. So the Nationals' offense is really good. It's their pitching staff that has really struggled. And you look at the Yankees, I mean, they won last night, but they're 3-7 in their last 10. I mean, you look at the month of June and July so far for them, it's not been good. And it's kind of a thing for the Yankees that they always hit this little spot in the summer where, half of their guys are hurt. I mean, you look at their pitching staff, I believe Max Fried still hurt. Carlos Rodon, last I checked, was on the IL. That's 2 of your bigger guys. Garrett Cole is trying to get back to where he was, but, I mean, he's starting to age is starting to kind of show for him. And when Aaron Judge is hurt, the Yankees are gonna struggle. As again, we look at the Yankees this season. Month of June, a record of 12-14, and already 3-5 in the month of July. And you look at March, 4-1, April 16-10. This team was 20-11 to start the year, and 16-12 in the month of May. Not excellent, but I mean, they're winning games, and now they're under 500. They're striking out a lot. They're not walking. They're not hitting the ball very well. I mean, you just look in the 28 games they played in the month of May, 242 hits. In the 26 games they played in the month of June, 192. 2 games shouldn't make 50 hits, a 50 hit difference. 20 less doubles. It's the offense that has kind of hurt them. But again, some of the pitching staff hasn't been as glamorous either. But funny enough, the Yankees are still first in runs scored in their division and second in runs allowed behind the Red Sox. But yeah, I think this is actually going to be an interesting matchup for Ryan. It's got some guys that used to be in his system growing up with the Padres, like C.J. Abrams, like Keibert Ruiz, those guys that were traded. Mackenzie Gore was in that trade, but he's with the Rangers now. Some guys that were in that San Diego farm system around the time that they made those trades to bring in the Juan Sotos of the world. Taking things over to Blade Tidwell, again, started the year with Sacramento and AAA, got the call up early in April to go pitch for the big leagues, pitched pretty much the entire month of April in relief, and then got sent back down at the 1st of May, and since then has made made one appearance out of the bullpen, did not go well, and has been making starts since then, and actually got his first decision in the first game since we have gotten back to checking in with him. Goes 5 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs. Both of them earned 3 strikeouts, 2 walk. Does pick up the loss, but his ERA went down from a high 6 to a low 6, and it ticked down every start after that. Goes 5 2/3, only giving up 3 runs. Goes 5 innings, only giving up 1 run, and going to his second decision back on the 20th of June. Goes 4 2/3, gives up 3 runs. Control was a little off that night. That was the only time his ERA has ticked up even a hint since then. It's gone down every start, and you look, it was a decision that he actually ended up getting a loss for. But goes 6 innings, only giving up 1 run. Was 0-3 at that point, but the ERA down to a mid-4. And last night's start actually got his first win of the season. Goes 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, all of them earned, 6 strikeouts to 1 walk. Picked up the win. Is 1-3 on the season now. with a 4.4 ERA, 1.46 WHIP, about 10.5 Ks per nine, 4.5 walks per nine, and about a 2.5 strikeout to walk ratio. Again, the strikeout numbers aren't too high for Tidwell. The walk numbers, again, following that 7-walk game, only walked 3 batters in the 17 innings since then. So, again, those numbers are going down. And the strikeout numbers have been good, too. His last 3 starts, 19 strikeouts. So that's about a 5-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. And, again, with the All-Star break coming up, the River Cats are going to be off from the 13th to the 16th of July. His start would have probably been on the projected to be on the 14th. So, looking at when they come back out of the break, I believe they're going to be, I think Oklahoma City was where they will be. I'm going to look that up real quick. I would project he's probably going to pitch, I'd say maybe the second game out of the All-Star break. So, again, looking for the location on that, and it will be in Albuquerque. Those games slated to be starting at 5:30 Pacific time. This is on July 17th, 18th, and 19th. So those games should be still coming up around then, but if not, he will definitely be getting some opportunities in Oklahoma City as they're playing the Comets later in that week. But hey, it was a rough month of June for both Blade and Ryan. The ERAs kind of ticked up for some, ticked down for others, but it looks like they've started to corral things as we enter the month of July. Again, Weather's having a big start tonight against the Nationals. Tidwell had a good start last night against the Bees of Salt Lake City. So things look to be on the uptick as we head to the All-Star break. And, hey, a much-needed break for those guys. You've been playing baseball pretty much every day, give or take a couple, since, late March. I mean, folks, we're coming up on the middle of July. I mean, that's 4 months straight of just baseball. And listen, I love baseball as much as the next person, but sometimes you may need a little break. So we're going to turn things over to kind of the gaming side of things. Again, we talked about it on X Sports Live on Wednesday of the week before, but the new College Football 27 video game comes out. I believe it came out yesterday on July 9th, but it's not very popular in the eyes of the community. Obviously, the big narrative around getting these college sports games back, and right now it's only football, was to play the road to glory mode. Make your kid, guy, make a high school quarterback, running back, whatever, and have him, go through the recruiting process, get called up, or commit to a school. You can set 2, 3, 4, or 5 stars. Go play at your dream school. You can enter the transfer portal. This, that, and the other. And EA decides to, franchise or dynasty mode was another very popular one. That you get to take control, head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator of your favorite school or a school that you think could be fun to coach at, and you level your coach up, get better at recruiting, get better at the on the field stuff, the off the field stuff. I mean, in this game they've got NIL, so you've got a lot of stuff to do. But they took out a pretty big feature from the year before and what had been in the past 2 years in a setting that you could adjust to make your guy level up a little faster, or turn off the wear and tear feature, which would make the players, if you run a guy 30 times in a game, he's going to be banged up a little bit. The things like that. Well, this year, if you turn off wear and tear on the Dynasty mode, and I believe you can turn it off in Road to Glory as well, it's going to slow how much XP you get, which is going to slow your progression, meaning you can't get to the levels you want to without microtransactions. They have added, now, there's the EA games are no stranger to microtransactions. You go back to Madden, you go back to, I think they have FIFA, the rights to FIFA, and even now with college football, yeah, there's the Ultimate Team mode where you can spend money, buy packs, and try to get players like that. But they've added that point system now to these offline modes where you can buy to level up your player. And that's also no stranger. 2K has the same thing, but it also doesn't, you don't have to. You progress up through that, and you can in this game. But the thing is, they've made it harder to progress without buying this, pretty much putting you in a bad position where you have to, you don't have to, but to some degree you have to pay for this. And EA has come out and responded and pretty much not acknowledged it whatsoever. You have a lot of people going back to the old college football games. Me personally, I just haven't bought the new one yet. But you've seen some big members of the college football YouTube community, the guys like Bordeaux, speaking out about this heavily. And they have worked with EA promoting this game. And since seeing that, they have decided to completely cut ties with EA. And in an old college football game, this is a screenshot from 2013, 2012, something like that. That if you turn the difficulty down, it made it easier to level up. Because, again, if you turn the difficulty down, you want it to be easier, it would slow down as you would level it up harder. Now we're going back the other way. And it's just it's kind of a sad thing to see, because the community of sports fans, college sports fans, were so excited when that got announced in 2022, 2023 maybe, when that was announced. It may have even been 2021. But nonetheless, it comes out in July of 2024. You have a fun summer with it. Fun summer last year. Obviously, the game has its problems, but it's been a steady decline every year. 25 was fun. 26, fixed some things, didn't fix other things. But we're seeing a steady decline across the years, and it, as a college sports fan and as a college sports gaming fan, it stinks to see. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, folks, we're going to talk a lot more college football, and we're going to talk real college football now. ESPN dropped their top 25 in the FPI, and along with some toughest schedules to go along with that, and then we'll get the award winners too following that up, and that will be when we return here on the Mark My Words College Sports Show here on the X Sports Network.
Got a dent, a ding, a scratch, or a bent fender? Major or minor, Car Country Collision Center in Leoma can fix you up. Car Country works with all insurance carriers, gives free estimates, can work on foreign and domestic vehicles, and has experience you can trust. They've been in business since 1990. Unfortunately, accidents happen, but you can get your car back on the road with as little hassle as possible with the help of Car Country. Call 931-852-4708 or stop by at 2567 Highway 43 South in Leoma.
For the best meal from south of the border, head to Cocina Real in Puente Grande for lunch and dinner. With a wide array of mouth-watering entrees, there's something for everyone on the menu. And you can't forget the cheese dip. They'll treat you like family, and you'll never leave hungry. Make Cocina Real Mexican Restaurant and Puente Grande Mexican Restaurant your choice for authentic cuisine, located in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And everybody, welcome back here to the Mark My Words College Sports Show here on the X Sports Network. ESPN College Football FPI Top 25 was dropped yesterday, and I've had a fun time looking over this list because, well, as a SEC fan, I hate to admit it, but you see the SEC bias very strong in this list. Counting it up right now, 11 SEC teams out of the top 25, and some of them are teams that I have predicted doing subpar this fall. So we're going to start things off at number 25 with the Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa finished 9-4 last year, had the big bowl victory over Vanderbilt, and finished 17th overall in the AP poll. Listen, I don't really know how to predict Iowa this year because you can almost do it the same exact way. Their offense isn't going to be good. Their defense is going to be really good, but it's how up and down is the offense going to be is the real question, because there were times last year where it looked really, really bad. I mean, it's Iowa Hawkeye football. I mean, you're not expecting 30, 40 points a game, but they did that at some times. I mean, you look, they opened the season against Albany 34-7. Had the tough loss to Iowa State, who didn't end up being a very good team. But when you scored points, you won, which, funny how that works. 47-7 over UMass, 38-28 over Rutgers. Hey, you were this close to beating Indiana, and you may have been the closest to doing so other than Penn State. 20-15. 37-0 over Wisconsin. 25-24 over Penn State. And I believe Iowa hadn't beaten Penn State in a good bit of time heading into that game. I may be wrong about that, but that was a game where I believe it's just back and forth the whole game. That was a great game. I remember that one from last season. But even, put 40 points up on Minnesota. And that game, Mark Gronowski, their quarterback, had a passing, had a rushing, and had a receiving touchdown. Tough loss to Oregon where they couldn't score many points. Tough loss to USC where they couldn't score many points, which may be a bit concerning. But then they go beat Michigan State. They smoke Nebraska. Now, again, Nebraska had really fallen off at that point in the year. But then they go beat Vanderbilt. And that was a Vanderbilt that had everybody playing. Cedric Alexander, the running back, was playing. Eli Stowers, actually, I believe Stowers may have not played in that game. Let me check. If he did play, he didn't. Oh, no, that's Vanderbilt. Or that was Iowa, pardon. Yeah, no Eli Stowers in that game, but you had Junior Sherrill and Trey Richardson both go for over 120 yards. Diego Pa, it was the running, and that's what I'm talking about with Iowa. Vanderbilt was able to run pretty successfully on people. Diego Pavia, 15 carries, 36 yards, and a touchdown. Had average of 2.4 yards a carry. Alexander had a 2-yard carry average on 3 carries. Same thing for Richardson. That's what Iowa does. Now, Mark Gronowski's gone, but Kamari Moulton is back. It's going to be an interesting season for Iowa. Will they finish as a top 25 team at the end? Now, this is not the preseason AP poll. This is a preseason FPI, which is Football Power Index, which is how strong ESPN believes these teams are. I could say that's a fair ranking for Iowa. I think they will be in the top 25 toughest teams in college football to end the year. And the team right above them, number 24, the SMU Mustangs, 9-4 on the year, not ranked in the final AP poll. And, you look at SMU this year, again, it's kind of confusing how to judge them, because, they jumped to the ACC for the 2024 season. Then they just win the conference regular season, lost in the championship game to Clemson, and ended up getting smoked in the playoffs because of it. But they made it almost back last year again. So they've been a pretty good contender in a up and down ACC, one where Miami didn't even get to play in the championship game last year. It was Duke. I'm just unsure, because I think of SMU football now, and unfortunately, the only game that comes to mind, there's 2 games that come to mind. When they came to Memphis in 2019, I think College Game Day went to town. If not, I know that was the big game that night on ABC or ESPN. It was the Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, I remember Memphis beating them in that game. Pretty sure. SMU may have come back and won in that one, but I think it's a playoff game against Penn State. I think it was 2019, that game I'm thinking of. Yes, it was. Boy, was that a fun game. 54-48, Memphis with the win. I kind of wanted SMU to win because they were undefeated, and I wanted to see at that point, a group of 5 team make the playoff. I mean, you had Shane Bichelle, 34-54 for 456 and 3 touchdowns for SMU. Brady White, 19-33, 350 and 3 touchdowns. Antonio Gibson, the running back for Memphis in that game. He goes 3 carries, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Man, that was a fun game. Trying to, looking at some NFL level talent. The second leading receiver in that game for SMU, Rashee Rice. Maybe a bit of a controversial name right now, but it's kind of fun to go back and look at old college football games and see, where the Kenneth Gainwell, another guy that had a very good, having a good NFL career, Calvin Austin's on this Memphis team. Some talented teams, but nonetheless, I don't know how SMU is going to do this year. Looking at their schedule, I try to pull that up real quick. And it's just not wanting me to pull up their schedule. So the SMU Mustangs. So looking at their schedule, they start off. Well, they got the game on Labor Day, the Monday night game on ESPN as they take on Florida State in a conference game. UC Davis at Louisville, home versus Missouri State, home versus Boston College, home versus Virginia, home versus Cal. Boy, did they ever go on the road. Do have a late road game against Notre Dame. Do have a road game against Stanford the last 2 weeks. Let's go one way, going the other back-to-back weeks. I mean, depending on what you get from Florida State, Louisville, and Virginia and Cal, because you could win one of those games or you can win all four. I don't think they'll beat Notre Dame. I think we'll talk about them a lot later on. Not sure about SMU. The South Carolina Gamecocks at number 23. They went 4-8 last year. Were not ranked. Were for some reason ranked really high in the AP poll to start the season. I remember. When Vanderbilt played them, I'm pretty sure if South Carolina wasn't in the top 10, they were like 11. Well, actually look that up because, again, after they started the year ranked pretty highly, they lost a lot of guys, though. You look at their offseason departures. You lost Nick Imamori, safety. TJ Sanders, a great defensive tackle. Kyle Kennard. You talk about all the havoc that can be forced by, if I can think of his name right now, the defensive lineman. I do not know why I can't think of his name to save my life right now. Here we go. Dylan Stewart. Don't know why I could not think of the name Dylan Stewart, but Kyle Kennard was causing a lot of that havoc as well, and you didn't have him for this season, and you could see the problems that caused. You start off the year with a big win over Virginia Tech in a game you didn't look very good in, but you got up to number 10 in the country after the win over South Carolina State. You fell to 11, then you lose to Vanderbilt 31-7. You drop all the way out of the rankings. Then you lose to Missouri. You beat Kentucky. It's Kentucky. Then you lose to LSU, lose to Oklahoma, lose to Alabama, lose to Ole Miss, lose to A&M. And a couple of those games, score-wise, probably a lot closer than they should have been. A 7-point win loss to Alabama, a 1-point loss at Texas A&M. Big win over Coastal, and then a loss to Clemson to close out the year. South Carolina did make some changes in the offseason. They got rid of Mike Shula. He made it 9 games into his career. So they brought in Kendall Briles, the former offensive coordinator at TCU and at Arkansas at times. When he was the OC at Arkansas, because we have seen him in the SEC pretty recently, Arkansas did quite well. I'm pretty sure 2021 Arkansas got inside the top 10. They got up to number 8 when they played Georgia and then got beat 37-0 and then eventually lost 3 straight games, fell back out of the rankings. But now looking at the points they're putting up, 38, 40, 45, 20, 51 here, 45 here, 31, 16, and this is with Arkansas. Now, that was a KJ Jefferson-led offense. That was, if you could, kind of take his NFL career out of your mind. Traylon Burks was on that team. He was a first-team preseason All-SEC guy. He was good, and he was a big part of that offense. But that win over Texas early in the year really kind of set a good tone for this team that they just couldn't carry on. That was their best year under Sam Pittman. But I think South Carolina's offense has a chance to be a little bit better, but, dude, their schedule is absolutely brutal. The Auburn Tigers at number 22 went 5-7 last year, not ranked in the final postseason polls. First-year head coach Alex Golish, he wins games. You go look at what he did at South Florida. He wins games, and he got them to the point where they could go hire a Brian Hartline from Ohio State and the offensive coordinator to be their head coach to follow that up. Listen, Auburn is an SEC school that cares about winning. I'm just not sure how I feel momentum-wise about Alex Golesh, because it's Auburn fans. And the wide narrative around the Auburn fans is that if you don't win, they're pretty much going to get rid of you, and they're very impatient. I think Alex Golesh is a good coach if you give him some time, but I just don't see year one them being a top 21, 22 most talented teams in the country. Team right above them, the Missouri Tigers. I'm also kind of on the fringe about this one, because they're bringing in, well, first off, you lose your offensive coordinator in Moore, Kellen Moore's brother. I can't think of his name right now. Man, I'm doing a really great job with names today. But you lose your offensive coordinator. He goes to Washington State to go be the head coach. So where's the offense? Kirby Moore, thank you. Kirby Moore was the name. So where does Missouri go? Well, they go bring in, if I can find this real quick. Man, I must have clicked on a really long ago year. I'm still clicking. So again, Kirby Moore, first year as the OC in 23. Missouri was really good in 23, really good in 24, had a decent year last year. And now bring in Chip Lindsey as the offensive coordinator. Now, Chip Lindsey was the offensive coordinator at Michigan last year. He was the offensive coordinator the 2 years before that at North Carolina. Well, we saw, and listen, the best way I can put this is, I don't know if it's going to be a good year for Missouri, because Michigan's offense was very one-sided last year. They did not give Bryce Underwood the reins to do anything. I mean, it's pretty clear. You go look at his stats and you think, man, did this guy play every game? He did. But you wouldn't know it if you just looked at his stats. Underwood last year threw for just over 2,400 yards, 11 touchdowns, 9 picks. So you're throwing for 200 yards and a touchdown and a pick every game. Not great. And that was the number one. I mean, Michigan spent millions of dollars in NIL on him for him to complete 60% of his passes for Chip Lindsey. I don't see that being a very good offensive coordinator, and I don't know if that's going to... And quarterbacks coach. He's not the QB coach at Missouri, but I don't know if I see that one going very well. Especially when you have a turnover-prone quarterback like Austin Simmons, who has just transferred in and is perceived to be the number one guy. And actually, funny enough, Chip Lindsey has some rather close connections. Was an assistant coach at Deschler High School in Alabama, just across the state line, and then went over, got his first head coaching job in 2005 at Colbert Heights High School in Alabama, and then was the offensive coordinator at Hoover for a year. Kind of moved all around. Lassiter High School in Georgia, was at Troy as a quarterback's coach for a year, went back down to the high school level at Spain Park out in Alabama, and then became the offensive assistant at Auburn before getting an OC job. Was actually the head coach at Troy for a couple of years. But seems like he has kind of settled into that OC job. And I mean, he's been the OC in an OC in the SEC before with his job at Auburn in 2017 and 2018, but were 2017 and 18 any good years for Auburn? I mean, I know 2017 was the year that they were almost the first two-loss team to... It may have been actually 2018 was the year that they were almost it was 2017. The first two-loss team to almost make the college football playoff, and then they lost the SEC championship to Georgia, and then decided to lose to UCF, which gave them the idea to put up that we're the national champions. Yeah, fun times for the Auburn Tigers family. But back to Missouri, I don't know if Chip Lindsey's going to be the guy. Number 20, the BYU Cougars finished 12-2, number 11 in the country last year. Boy, they're not really high on Kalani Sitake, and I think he's the best coach in the Big 12. I mean, you look at what he's been able to do at BYU, they're a consistent winner now, like it or not. I mean, they've been winning at a high rate since COVID, since Zach Wilson in 2021, 2020, 2019 even. I think they'll be a good team. I think they'll be much better than 20. I think the FPI hates the Big 12, but I could also disagree with that with a team that's listed a little bit higher. Number 19, the Clemson Tigers. Nope. I think they're gonna get embarrassed week one. I don't see this game being very close. Dabo's lost his touch. And now that everybody else can just go bring in players and you don't get rewarded for developing talent anymore, you get rewarded for winning championships and putting that talent on the field. I don't know if Clemson can do it. Clemson was really good at recruiting and developing and putting those guys on the field and then getting them to the NFL. Yeah, they're doing that now, but everybody is kind of sidestepping you. And if a guy is sitting on your bench as a 4-star and wants to go play somewhere else, he's going to leave. That's why we haven't seen Georgia win a national championship since 2022. That's why we haven't seen Alabama win a national championship since 2020. You got teams like Ohio State and in Indiana and Michigan that can go buy a bunch of one-year rentals and win a championship because that's the goal at the end of the year. Sorry about a little tangent on that, talking about Clemson. The Florida Gators. They were 4-8 last year, not ranked in the final poll. But it's John Summerall. And I love every interview I've seen with the guy. I think he is a great coach. I think he knows what he's doing. And Florida may not be good this year, but I kind of see this being an Urban Meyer effect where in 3 years, they could be competing for national championships because he was a great coach at Troy. He was a great coach at Tulane, got them to the college football playoff when a guy like Willie Fritz didn't think it was possible. And now he's getting the Florida job where you can win. Look, I mean, I get their tenures didn't end great, but Will Muschamp had some good years at Florida. 2011 was his first year. I believe that was a year that Jeff Driscoll got hurt, so I don't know if that year was actually any good, 7-6. But 2012, they went 11-2. They won the SEC East. They lost in the Sugar Bowl to a very good Louisville team, Teddy Bridgewater. And then it fell apart in 2013. It fell apart in 2014. He got fired. 2015, Jim McElwain, he wins 10 games in his first year. Go to his next year, he wins 9 games. He's making the SEC championship game, and back-to-back years. Now he got smoked by Alabama both times, but he made it. Then obviously didn't go great in 2017. Then they fired him. They bring in Dan Mullen. He wins 10 games in year number 1. He wins 11 games in year number 2. He's teetering with Georgia and making it to the SEC championship game. Didn't make it in year 1 or in year 2. But in year 3, they went 8-4 in that COVID-shortened year. They were 8-2 heading into the SEC championship game, where they lost to 6 points to an Alabama team that won the national championship by like 30 points, and then got smoked by Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl after you had pretty much the whole team had given up. And then they fired Dan Mullen, and then they bring in Billy Napier, and he wins 6 games. He wins 5 games. He wins, 8 games in 2024. That was a nice year. But then wins, 4 games? 3 games? Now it's Sean Summerall, Buster Faulkner, and Brad White. Hey, Brad White was a great defensive coordinator at Kentucky for about 7 or 8 years. He spent some time in the NFL. Florida they may not be great this year, but watch out. I think that's a rather fair spot. Penn State, don't see it. They went 7-6 last year. They're not ranked. All those guys left and went to Virginia Tech, who is not on this list. And it's just Iowa State rebranded in Penn State gear. And like or hate Matt Campbell, you go look at we'll start in 2020 with Iowa State because that was the year they made the Big 12 championship game and lost to Oklahoma. They went 9-3 in Matt Campbell's 5th year. 2021, almost fired him, 7-6. 2022, 4-8, probably should have fired him. 2023, 7-6, not a good year. 2024, they go 11-3 again. They lose in the Big 12 championship game. They're that close to the playoff. 2025, they go 8-4 again. So I don't see that team being rebranded to Penn State helping them much, if any. Not sure about that one. Tennessee at number 16, 8-5 last year, not ranked. I think that's a little high because this is a freshman quarterback-led team. It's going to be a first-year quarterback unless Ryan Staub comes out of nowhere these last 4 weeks of camp. But it's going to be a freshman-led team with it should be a really good offensive line. And Deshaun Bishop ran for 1,000 yards last year, should run for more than that this year. Wide receiver room, it's a little iffy because you lost Chris Brazzell. That was your Biletnikoff Award-winning caliber player. And now it's Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, and I would guess Tristan Keys, the freshman. But you got some young guys in there, Travis Smith or Darius Jackson that could shake things up too. Defense, though, it was so bad last year. And then now a lot of those players picked up and left. And Tennessee went and got guys from that Penn State team that I just kind of crapped on a minute ago. And that may be why Virginia Tech's not in here because a lot of the Penn State guys went elsewhere too. But you go get Jim Knowles. You bring in a lot of guys. You get a leader in Arion Carter back. You do a really good job in the portal on your secondary. You bring in T.J. Metcalf from Michigan. You go bring in Kayan Lee from Auburn. You've done a good job bolstering up. The names look good on paper, but when they hit the field, because year one under Jim Knowles' defenses haven't been great. It's not like they're dang near worse than the SEC as Tennessee's defense was last year. If they can be middle of the road in the SEC defensive wise and in that upper third offensive wise, they could probably be 16. But I don't know if both of those things are going to happen this year. Michigan at number 15, it's going to be the first year for Kyle Whittingham. He wins games. I think you're going to have a much more calm year two. I think Bryce Underwood, I think his sophomore slump was his freshman year. I think this has a chance to be a big year for him. Now, you do lose Haynes, your running back, and that was a big part of your offense. Michigan's going to have a tough defense, though. Kyle Whittingham was a great defensive coach. There's not a lot of times Utah was getting run out of a building offensively or because of their defense from another team's offense. So I like that spot. At number 14, a team that I am really high on, but a team I could also be really low on, the Ole Miss Rebels. They were 13-2 last year, finished in the national semifinal, were third in the final AP poll. You lose Lane Kiffin, you lose Charlie Weiss, your defense coordinator is now your head coach, so you had to bring in new coordinators, which is going to change everything. You lost a lot of guys to the portal, a lot of guys to the draft. I mean, thinking of big names you brought back, outside of Trinidad Chambliss and Quan Lacey, I can't think of a whole lot. The defense will be grimy. The defense will be tough. Defense may win them a game or two, but it's not going to be the Lane Kiffin Ole Miss where you got guys throwing for 350 yards, another running back running for 125. I don't think we're going to see the offense be that great. I think they'll have a good start to the season. I think they'll beat LSU in week 3 or 4, whenever that is. But as I've kept looking on, odds on, they're 7.5 is their win total. 7.5. If they go 8-4, I don't know if Pete Golding's going to make it home that night. I mean, because now their schedule is brutal. I mean, they're 5th in the country in toughest schedule, which means 5th in the SEC in toughest schedule, pretty much. Because that entire top 20 that we'll get to in a little bit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All 16 SEC teams are in the top 20. And it is 14 of the first 15, Ohio State in there, because Ohio State has a tough schedule this year. We'll talk about that in a minute. I think Ole Miss is probably going to drop off a little bit, but I think 14 is a fair spot for them. USC at number 13. I think this is a make-or-break year for Lincoln Riley. I think this is going to be the best they've been in the trenches since he's been there, getting kind of back to what they were at Oklahoma. Jaden Malov is back. You lose Mekhi Lemon, but you got your running back. You got your running back room back, and that was big. Wayman James or Wayman Jordan, I think it was his name, but you should have a good year. It's going to be on the defense. You got rid of Alex French a couple years ago. What's this 2026 USC coaching staff looking like? Well, let's see. Why don't we? So it's going to be Gary Patterson, the defensive coordinator. You may have me convinced. He was now Gary Patterson's kind of been all over the place. He was at TCU for 21 years. Led TCU, I don't know if they were independent, but got them from like the Mountain West to the Big 12 and a contender in the Big 12. I mean, they almost made the national championship almost made the playoff in 2014. I got shafted, but he's a good defensive coach. If he is ready to get back into college football and ready to really bear down and coach, because he didn't really do a whole lot for that 2024 Baylor team, watch out for USC. Oklahoma at number 12, I think is way too high. You're banking on a lot of things that we haven't been shown to happen. You're looking at Mateer being good. You're looking at that offense being back. You're looking at that defense staying at the level that it was last year, which you lost some guys. I don't know. Texas A&M at number 11. Again, I see them taking a step back. I think 11 is probably a fair spot for them. Texas Tech at 10, way too high. 10 if Sorsby's the quarterback. I think probably 18 to 20 range, because this is just going to be Oklahoma. No offense, pretty good defense. LSU at number 9, they went 7-6. They were not good last year, but it's Lane Kiffin, it's Charlie Weiss, it's Blake Baker, it's the best names-wise, coaching staff in the country. And then you go get Sam Levitt. Now, your running back room hasn't been great. Your offensive line, you beefed it up a little bit. It's going to come down to their defense, because I've seen LSU 2019, the year they won the national championship. That offense was the best it has ever been. That defense was awful. At number 8, Alabama. I think they're going to have the best secondary in the country, which makes them very susceptible to injuries in the front seven, just because a lot of teams are going to be running on them crazy. If their offense can put up points, it's going to be a very good Alabama team. If they struggle with whoever the quarterback ends up being, whether it's Keelan Russell, whether it's Austin Mack, whether it's some other third name, it should be it's going to be a big year for that front seven and the offense for Alabama. Again, the secondary is going to be good. The offensive line and run game can't be worse than they were last year. It's going to be on the armor of the quarterbacks and the toughness of your front seven, because you're probably going to see a lot of running. Miami at number 7. I mean, you lost some guys. You lost the Akeem Mesidors, you lost the Reuben Baines, and you lose Carson Beck. You get Darian Mensah, who I think is miles better than Carson Beck. I think your offense is going to be a little bit more explosive now that Malachi Toney is fully into the game of college football now. Mark Fletcher's back. It's going to be on that defense, but man, I just got a strong feeling that Mario Cristobal has got a program here. It's kind of an SEC strong school kind of thing. I think we're going to see Miami around for a while. Indiana at number 6. I'm going to not say a word. They didn't lose a game last year. They lost some guys from that team. Fernando's gone. Omar Cooper's gone. Roman Hemby's gone. A lot of those guys from that team last year gone. But it's Indiana. It is Kurt Cignetti. I'm not going to doubt him. Now, I did hear something really interesting. I think this was on, I think his name's Brooks Austin. The film, I think it's the film guy, maybe. But was talking to somebody in Indiana. They have 13 total offensive linemen on their roster. And, the way he said it, you have 8 that you put on your team to travel every weekend. And then you got 5 guys for your scout team. That doesn't leave anybody for development. So their roster may be a bit thin. But again, they don't, work you to death during the summer, during the fall, during the season. They get what they need to get in, and they get out. Number 5, Georgia. I think this is going to be the best team we've seen from Kirby since a national championship team. It's going to be his best shot. He's got Gunnar Stockton back for, it'll be I guess technically just his second full season, but he played it a little bit in the end of 2024. Obviously had to play the second half of the SEC championship game where he got knocked out. Had to play the entire playoff game against Notre Dame where they lost, but looked good last year, and I think he's going to be much better this year. And, hey, that Georgia offense started getting to the point where they could put up some, and that's scary. Oregon at number 4, another team that I think this is – everyone in the top 5 I have is this is your chance year. Oregon, they finished 4th last year. They were 13-2, and they got punched in the mouth by Indiana. Dante Moore comes back. I think that makes them a very interesting candidate for this year. Number 3, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish went 10-2, declined their postseason bowl bid, and again, just ended the year at the end of the regular season. Finished 10th. Were the last team out of the poll, out of the first team out of the playoff, and they weren't happy about that. And despite them catching a lot of crap for the not going to the bowl game, this, that, and the other, I think you're going to have a pissed off Notre Dame team. I think you're going to have a pissed off Marcus Freeman. I think you're going to have an angry C.J. Carr. Now, there's no Jeremiah Love. There is no, Jadarian Price. Running back room's going to have to change. But it's Notre Dame. They kind of just, because I remember after Audric Estime left, who's going to be the guy? Jeremiah Love, and he ended up being pretty good. I mean, Notre Dame's going to have good running backs. They just always do. And their receiving core, they went and improved that in the offseason as well, picking up Quincy Porter from Ohio State. It could be a big year for Notre Dame. And the defense is going to be good. Got Christian Gray. They got Leonard Moore. That's one of the best secondaries you're going to see. Texas at number 2. Finished 10-3. We're number 12 in the country. Got their first ever preseason poll number 1 last year. I don't know. Because everyone's telling me Texas is going to be really good and going to be one of the best teams in the country and you should fear them. But I haven't seen that yet. By about week 4, I didn't care about Texas last year. Now, at the end of the year, they got close to the playoff because they started winning some games, but they it just felt like anytime they had a big opportunity, they blew it. You go to the Swamp, you get smoked by a terrible Florida team. That was a terrible Florida team. You beat Oklahoma with a one-armed John Mateer. You beat Vanderbilt after you got up 24 points. You know, you had to go to overtime against Mississippi State. You got smacked by Georgia. You had to go to overtime, or almost overtime, with Kentucky. And for some reason, and I get it, it's because their starting quarterback's last name is Manning, and it hadn't worked the first couple of years. But tell me why I'm supposed to believe that Texas has got everything changed this year, because their running back room isn't much better. Yeah, they'll beat Texas State week 1, but they got Ohio State coming in week 2. They got to travel to Knoxville week 4. They got the Red River Shootout 2 weeks after that. You know, they got Florida after that. They got Oklahoma, Ole Miss after that. They've got to go to LSU late in the season. They've got to go to A&M late in the season. Sark better keep everything in tail, because that's a very dangerous schedule, and you could go 11-1 like I said in one of my videos earlier, but it could be a scary year for Texas if Arch hasn't gotten everything figured out by now. Now, the offense should be there. Cam Coleman, Ryan Wingo. Those could both be 1,000-yard receivers at the end of this. And the number 1 team in the country, the Ohio State Buckeyes. 12-2 last year, lost in the first, well, the wasn't the first round, but the quarterfinal round of the 2025, 2026, whatever, college football playoff to the eventual national runner-up in Miami. But you look at that Ohio State team last year, yeah, a lot of people said they didn't play anybody. They didn't have a tough schedule, tough go of it. But man, you go look at that schedule from last year, at least the very end of it. Well, funny enough, their 2 losses were to, it was kind of Indiana the year before. Their 2 losses were to the 2 teams that played in the national championship game. And they were the last 2 games they played. It was the Big Ten championship game. They lost by 3 to national champion Indiana. And the first round of the college football playoff in the Cotton Bowl, they lost 24-14 to number 10 and national runner-up Miami. Julian Sands back. Jeremiah Smith's back. They did lose their offensive coordinator. It's not going to be Brian Hartline. It's going to be Arthur Smith. Again, another NFL-level name. A guy that was the Titans offensive coordinator was in the Titans coaching staff for about 10 years, from 2011 to 2020. And then went to the Falcons to be a head coach, went to the Steelers to be an offensive coordinator. Again, after he left the Titans to go to the Falcons to be the head coach, I think his the perception of him from the outside was not great. But you look at what Matt Patricia's defense did this past year at Ohio State. I mean, the last couple of years he was in the NFL, he was a joke. I mean, his head coaching gig at the Lions was awful. I mean, it was not good. 13-29-1. Now, 3-time Super Bowl champ is on the Patriots coaching staffs for pretty much the entirety of the Tom Brady era, 2004 to 2017. But he was looked at as a joke. I kind of was iffy on him getting the Ohio State job. Look at what their defense did last year. So it's going to be an interesting year for Ohio State come this fall. Looking at the top 20 schedules, it's pretty much just the SEC. From 1 to 20, Arkansas, number 1, Oklahoma, Texas, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Florida, Ohio State, Texas A&M. And let's talk about Ohio State, because they get the narrative that they never have a tough schedule. Well, week 2, they go to Texas. Week 4, they host Illinois, who could be good. The next week, they go to Iowa. 2 weeks later, they go to Indiana. Bye week, you go to USC. Then you host Oregon. Then you got Northwestern. Then you got a sneaky game against Nebraska, at Nebraska, that comes the week before the big game against Michigan. I mean, everything goes awful. This is a 6-win team. Now, they're going to win 11 games. But there's going to be a couple times that you look at them and realize they could slip up. So that is going to do it for this week's edition of the Mark My Words College Sports Show here on the X Sports Network. Again, I'm actually out the week that you're going to be seeing this on vacation, but I'll be back the next week, and we'll get you caught up on everything. There should be, I I think all the conferences media days are going to be done. I know the Big 12 is going on right now. I know the SEC is coming up this upcoming week. So we'll talk about all that when I get back, and we'll do those award winners. I didn't realize the top 25 talking would take so long, but we'll talk about those way too early award winners next week when I return. So that will do it for this week's edition of the Mark My Words College Sports Show here on the X Sports Network. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you when I get back.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.